Carl's already waiting in the wings. Hey everybody, how you guys doing? Apparently, yeah. Apparently, I still haven't figured out this whole time change for the rest of the country. Uh, it's easy for me because I don't move, but everybody else either slides forward or goes back. And I I really screwed this one up because we typically go 11 o'clock my time, which would have been 10 o'clock your time, Dr. Anthony, and I think it's like Steve's 1 o'clock or something like that. But well, that's done and over with. But how you been, Dr. Anthony?
Doing okay. A little jet lag. I've been up since midnight already. Coming back from Thailand on Monday, I just haven't been able to shake the 15-hour time change. So, it's probably by 3 o'clock this afternoon, I'll be dozing off again.
How's the back holding up?
Back home up great. The surgery went well. I was released by the doctor the Thursday. I flew out that night, and so he just said, I couldn't swim. I couldn't get in a bathtub or a hot tub for 10 days. And, I still can't lift things, over 5 pounds because it's still healing. But other than that, I'm without pain. So that's all I can ask for.
Okay. Well, did they go in there and fuse one of your vertebrae,
No,
or they actually?
No, they cut out some bone. So they did a laminectomy. The problem was I've had this surgery before, so they had to cut through a bunch of scar tissue and things, and that was the hardest part. And then they splayed open my the spinal nerve because it was so enlarged because it was just being beat up by the vertebrae. So, but the doctor, said everything went okay, and so far everything's been okay.
Oh, that's good.
Yep.
Now, were you already having a little bit of issues with it before you re-aggravated it, or?
Yeah, I'd had issues. I had surgery 22 years ago.
Okay.
And so, every now and then it would bother me, sometimes really bad. But when I try to lift up that tree stump in the river with everybody, that's at that point, I really screwed it up. So we just had to bide my time. You know how insurance works. You have to go through all the processes before they say, oh, yes, you need surgery. So, they try to get it done quickly because, from going to Thailand and then this coming week, I'm going back to Peru, and coming back right before Christmas and going back all of January. It was either right before Thanksgiving when I had the surgery, or would have to wait till February. And I just, I needed it. So I'm good.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yep.
Now, I know this month.
Swatting those mosquitoes away. What's going on?
I know. Well, what happened is, the plants you gave me?
Yeah.
The ones that were outside. What are those? Those are.
Those are alocasias.
Okay. Well, I have them in planters that I was kind of keeping outside, but the temperatures changed.
Yeah.
Well, it started changing, so I brought them into the garage, but I have them in potting soil. So all the little
little gnats and stuff. Yep.
Yeah, they're all, I guess, hatching because I'm in here. They're everywhere. I was talking about that yesterday in my live stream. That I was like, I wonder how I can. Is there something that I can do? I'll probably have to get that tape with the glue on it. And put it up in here somewhere. It's not that bad. I mean, I'm hoping they would land on the aquariums. Then it would be free fish food.
Yep.
But I think they're smarter than that, though.
Yep.
And they're not doing that. Let me say some quick hellos because people have started rolling in. Let me see. I know I want to say hello. Oh, Eric Wykerock was one of the very first ones here. Coral, thank you very much. Yeah, you can ask for your refund because the refund of nothing is nothing. So you're more than welcome to ask for a refund. Let's see. June, thank you. Good morning. June, do you ever sleep, June? June must be a robot. She must be one of those new AI robots that looks human, but she is always up. But thank you for being here, June. Fish Streams, thank you for being here. Philly, 215 Aquatics, thank you so much for joining us today. Rico Stan, thank you, sir, for joining us today.
You know, I had my Rico Stand shirt on before I put your shirt on this morning. So,
well, I think you should still have Rico's shirt on. It's better than mine.
I mean, it has to be. I have to represent.
Well, thank you for doing that. And then we have Corridor Son Aquatics, Christian.
From Sweden. Wow.
Ah, from Sweden. Okay. Well, a sinner. Yeah, no. For those of you that are joining us today, I made a big mistake of when I scheduled this. I was assuming I still had an hour before starting up, and Dr. Anthony sends me a text. He goes, "Where are you?" So I had to scramble up, and I was just getting ready. And luckily, I was already out of the shower and everything, so just putting on my shoes. And I said, "Why, are you on StreamYard?" He goes, "Yep." I said, "Oh man, did it again." But yeah, well, it always takes us it takes me, because everybody else is fine except for me. It takes me 2 or 3 iterations of this to finally nail it down and get it right. But I'm kind of happy though we started a little bit earlier, because it gives me more time to talk, since I got to go in at 2 today. So, and usually I leave the house by 1. But that out of the way, I know you've had a lot of stuff going on lately. But one of the things and I need to get that email. I know you started on Tuesday the fundraising for the Christmas down there in Peru. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. So it's our annual end of the year fundraiser. What we didn't do this year that we did last year is, last year we actually had an auction for the Christmas party. Because of logistics, we couldn't do that this year. So we decided to wrap it in with our end of the year fundraiser. We have now about 500 kids that we service down there, because it's just not our village, and I mean village. These are villages. It's some of the surrounding villages that the kids come from, and
okay,
we can't tell them no. I mean, for 99.99% of the kids, this is the only Christmas they have, and so we buy them a gift. We serve them cake and cookies and drinks, and we also have entertainment for them. We have a clown that always comes every year, and they have superheroes that show up, and usually have some local dancers or something. The kids will dance, and they're there for about 4 or 5 hours. So it's something we've been doing for the past 4, 5, 6 years. But when we first started, it was maybe 30, 40 kids. Now it's close to 500 kids, and they start lining up early in the morning to get in. And so we used to have little tickets for them that we would distribute just in the village. But I'm not so evil-hearted that that's a little couple extra $100 here and there to make all the kids happy. That's something my wife and I really believe in.
And you said this also it's starting to provide service for all the surrounding kids in the neighborhood too?
Yeah. So there's, within the past year or so, 2 years, there's been more and more settlements around the little pueblo that we're out of. We're in a pueblo that's called 31 de Mayo, 31st of May. A lot of little pueblos there, little villages. The name comes from the date they were settled.
Oh, really?
So within our little village, there's probably 4 or 5, maybe 200 or 300 families, and then there's a village that just started 2 years ago across the road from us that is really big. One thing that happens in Peru is that if land is vacant, you can actually go in and put a house on it, and that becomes your land. And so there was probably 10 acres worth of land that was empty, that was surrounded by a brick wall, but the guy didn't have any guards. And so the people just broke down the brick walls and started building their houses there.
Well, isn't that similar to what happened to you guys on your property?
Yeah, that's what happened to us to begin with. Was we lost about a third of our land because, we didn't think anybody was going to take it from us, but sure enough, someone did. And the village said, well, they're showing good use to it, so it's now their land. So you learn, you live and learn.
I think there's similar laws like that here in Mexico too.
Where here in Mexico, you live in Mexico?
Well, in Mexico.
You must kind of,
Yeah, I'm just recently removed, so I'm still. It's only been 3 years since I haven't been there.
That's it? 3 years?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I go back on a regular basis anyway. So.
Yeah.
But yeah. I know. The only reason I saw it is, I guess, the video that I always get his name wrong. It's
Carlos?
Not Robert. Not
Carlos?
Robert, but
Randy.
Randy.
Yeah. Randy from Aquarium Co-op. Yeah.
That he was talking. That he was talking about that, and I was like, "Oh shoot, that's kind of the same situation where they consider it abandoned. That you're not staking an interest in it, so it's kind of like a homestead where you can just move in." And
exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah.
But
yep.
So I was able to get the link up there for those of you guys that are interested in helping and donating. Hopefully, you guys can go ahead and check that out. I'm still waiting for my deposit from YouTube, and as soon as I get that, that's turning right around to you guys. Now, do you want me to do it for this one, or do you want me to do it for the institution, or it doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
It goes to the same. I mean, it's the same. We use a company called Network for Good, and all the donations, whether it's from our website or from this fundraiser, it's still the same company. And then what they do is they handle all the paperwork. They'll send you receipts, because it is a tax deduction, so they handle that. It's just a lot easier for us because it's just my wife and I who do everything, and so we don't want to forget to send receipts to people and everything. We handle the thank you notes and the personal things, but they handle all the business end. And they only take 1.5%, 2%. So to us, that's less than PayPal does. So it's a good thing all the way around.
Yeah, no, and I know that the last stream we had, that was one of I kind of went on a rant about funding and stuff like that. I know it was one of those things where I just kind of threw it out there, but thinking that it'd be nice, especially like the big shows.
Yeah.
If they would just pick, like a nonprofit organization that has something to do with the hobby, and give back a little bit, because they would, if it wasn't a money making business, they wouldn't be having this.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I kind of suggested was, even if they don't want to be the ones to foot the money out of the ticket prices, if they were to put an option on their tickets where as a purchaser you could donate $1, and then I'm just, $1 is pretty insignificant for most people nowadays. $1 it doesn't seem like a whole lot, but when you have thousands of people that are involved in going to these events, that $1 really does add up.
Yeah.
And it makes it easier for somebody to try to say, okay, I can do $1. I'm buying 3 tickets. That's $3. That's no big deal. And if they could turn around and donate it to any of these organizations that are out there, obviously campaign. My choice is always going to be the Amazon Research Center, for that matter. But I don't see why they don't do that. And even if you give the consumer the option to do that, more than likely they're going to say, yeah, sure, let's go ahead and do that. Because at the end of the day, institutions like yours and those that are out there are the ones that continue to keep the hobby alive. guys are doing the conservation down there. If these fish disappear for whatever reason, they're out of the market. Unless, there's already a substantial amount of them in the hobby and they can be reproduced,
Mhm.
you might lose some species for good.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's like Amazon used to have the Amazon Smile program, which, Amazon would give any nonprofit, and you would just sign up, 0.1% of whatever you buy off Amazon. So it didn't come out of the people's pocket; it actually came out of Amazon's pocket. But for some reason, about at the start of this past year, they stopped doing that. I'm not sure why. We'd get $400 or $500 a year from that, which was great. But for some reason, I'm not sure why Amazon stopped that, because Amazon, in fact, got all the benefits from that. They were able to write all that off on their taxes, but they just have decided to do away with that program. And so, that's $500-$600 more that comes out of our pocket now, because we're kind of used to having that.
yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's just greed.
Jeff Bezos wants to go to Mars, so all that
Yeah.
money,
So I don't know. It would just seem intuitive for these events to be able to do something like that. And
Yeah.
I know I was hoping Steve would be here. I know he's on his way. He's getting dressed, and again, this is all my fault because I kind of screwed up the timing on this. And but it was like serendipity because we had talked about this, unbeknownst what was going to happen down the road. It was just kind of an idea, like they say, putting it out of the universe.
Yep.
And well, there's a big event that's happening in Houston on the 9th and the 10th of this month. So, being that it's in Houston, Steve thought it would be a good way for him to kick off his business, reopening of his business for selling plants. So, he bought a booth. And in the process of buying the booth, I guess because there were not a whole lot of applicants, I guess, or when he bought his, because it was right at the beginning. The owner of the event contacted him and wanted to get some feedback based on what his experience had been like, because he kind of noticed a lot of people were not quick to buy a booth. And I guess the application process was a little bit complex and long, because that's one of the things that Steve said. He goes, well, I think what happens is a lot of people get intimidated because I guess it's like several pages to be able to, of information that they're asking for. And Steve even said that he kind of hesitated a little bit, of kind of wondering why they needed all this information. So the guy was able to take that information, the owner, and realize that there was a problem there. So they revamped the application so that it was more streamlined and I guess not as intimidating. Well, in the process of doing that, they started getting a conversation. I guess kind of Steve talked a little bit about what we were doing with the show and that, some of the things that we're trying to accomplish, that the guy kind of took an interest into what we were doing. That show has for years been a reptile show.
Yeah.
But because they've been seeing that, I guess the one time out of the year that Aquashella comes into Dallas, they've seen the big success that is. But that's only once a year that they do that. That they decided, well, why don't we venture into the aquatic side of it too, of the hobby? And it's funny because they decided to do that, and then there's another super show, a reptile super show up in California, down by you, out of Pomona, that they're going to be doing something very similar, but that's going to be in June.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess what it really boils down to is they're trying to fill that void that they know that Aquashella is not really coming any more west of Dallas, and that's about as far as west as they're going to go. So, being that they see that there's a lot of people that want to go to these shows, they're going to try to add an aquatic side to it. The one in LA is interesting because that's been a well-established reptile show, but they also have plants and they have birds, and now they're bringing in the aquatic side. So they're kind of tying all the hobbies together in one place, they're not all going to be in the same building. There'll be four or three different buildings. I think it's I think the birds are with the plants, if I'm not mistaken. I think it might be three different buildings. And but it'll be a really neat experience because one of the things that I've been learning is as a hobbyist, you're not just a hobbyist in one side of the hobby. I mean, if you keep fish, you're more than likely also keeping plants in one form or another. And if you start getting into the plants, and then you start looking at paludariums or terrariums, and then that by default starts getting into some of the amphibians and the reptiles. So to me, it's kind of awesome because it'll tie in. If you have more than one liking in the hobby, that kind of puts everything for like a big old super show. So that one I'm excited. I mean, I'm going to go to that one. That's only a 3.5-hour drive for me. Well, 4-hour drive from Yuma. So I'm definitely, that's in the works. Wife has already green lighted that one, and she says she wants to go check it out. So that's probably happening.
Yeah, we used to have the aquatic expo that happened here in Orange County every April. That was not only a fish show, but they also had reptiles, they also had birds, they also had, it was basically the American Pet Expo, but there was, a big portion of it was the aquatic expo. And then for some reason they decided after COVID, they decided not to continue with it for some reason, so I think the big reptile shows are trying to absorb all that and include more of the animal hobbies in their shows.
Yeah, and it's been kind of interesting because I've never been involved with any of this stuff. This is the first time that I'm kind of out on the outside skirts of it, involved a little bit. But some of the feedback that he's been getting from other shows is kind of like, wow, man, I didn't know people had that much hostility towards some of these other shows.
Yeah.
But I guess they're just kind of picking up on some of the changes that have been occurring. So looking forward to it. I actually was told that I could get tickets if I wanted to go, but it's so last minute for me that I need time to be able to plan because I got to travel. And whether it is that I drive up there or fly up there, I would have to be able to schedule that ahead of time because of work, just because of work. And it wouldn't be that I wouldn't, if I schedule it enough time, getting the days off is not an issue. But even maybe no, because we got a couple of guys on vacation, so that probably wouldn't have worked out anyways. But yeah, that was one that I was kind of looking forward. I know the idea is that show there is called the Aquarium Nation Expo.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess originally it was called the Reptile Nation Expo. They already have a route established all along the East Coast, and they actually have a stop in California, but it's not in the LA area. I think it's a little bit further up north, which I thought was pretty interesting. The destination they had for that one, I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of not necessarily where close to San Diego and LA, which I think that was predominantly where you would get the most of your people coming to these events would be from. But I think it's more towards the Sacramento area, the other spot that they go to, and then they had a couple other ones. I think in New Mexico they have a show. Las Vegas. Nevada. They have a show too. I think for that. So, and I guess I asked Steve. I said, "Have you?" They want to hear you talk about Bangkok.
No, Rico's been saying we got to hear about your time. What went on?
Yeah, no, and so it was. I'm hoping that I know one of the things that they wanted to do for this show up there in Houston. Originally, one of the main things they want to do is they want to work with. I guess that's what the point of this was. They want to work with nonprofit organizations that are involved with the hobby. And I guess originally they had reached out to a different organization, but the organization didn't have time for them, so they told them, it's fine, because they figured being the first year, they're not going to be able to
Yeah.
do a whole lot. So when the owner told that to Steve, immediately it was like no second down. It's like, no, you got to work with the Amazon Research Center. But I know everything is last minute, and that's the problem. I wish we had known about this with plenty of time. Maybe things could have been a little bit different, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they're able to do for you guys, if anything at all.
Well, like I said before, we got on. I was going to fly there. They were going to actually fly me out. When they talked to me, I said, well, let me look at flights, to see how much they are, so I can tell you whether I can fly out. And he said, well, no, we'll pay for it, And the problem was that I thought I was leaving for Peru on the 12th of this month. And so that gave me time to go there next weekend. But in fact, I'm flying out next Friday on the 8th. So and it's not like I can change those tickets very easily, at the last minute. But, there are other shows like Findig last year in Sacramento. They actually had an auction, and the proceeds of the auction was donated to us as well. So there are more and more shows that are starting to do that. One of the problems we have is that we're still relatively unknown for many of the big shows out there. There are more well-established conservation efforts that people are aware of that tend to get all the money, and so we're the little guppy in the big pond right now.
Yeah, but hopefully this is something that'll turn a little bit more where it becomes a normal thing. The other thing is, I know this Sunday, well, tomorrow. Shit, I'm lost in my days. No wonder I'm always screwed up on the time. I know tomorrow I'm going up to the Southwest Aquatic Society for our Christmas party, and I'm going to hit up Ron, who's the president, and tell him, look, would it be possible that let's say as a club we could donate at least $100 to this cause, and that was the other thing that I was talking about. If some of the fish clubs, again, $100 for a fish club might not be a lot of money. I mean, it can be if it's a new club that's starting up, but for some of the established clubs, I don't see why they wouldn't be able to do that. And that'd be nice if we could get a lot of these clubs to just, there's got to be over at least 200, 300 clubs nationwide that have been established for quite some time. We get them to donate $100 each. That's $2,000-$3,000 that have been put together that could go to help you guys down there. So I know the quantities might not seem like a lot of money when you hear them, but when you do the accumulative effect, it really does add up. But yeah, I don't see how, especially because as a fish club, part of the idea of having the club is because you want to get involved with conservation of one form or another, whether it's in your aquariums or whether it's working with an institution. So to me it just makes perfect sense. But I'll see how it goes this Sunday. Hopefully our club will be one of the ones donating before the deadline, and hopefully some other clubs will follow suit. And the only way that some of these clubs are ever going to find out about it is the more I talk about it. I know I'm going to sound like a broken record for probably now until the end of the year, anytime that I come on, to kind of bring light to this. And hopefully it falls on ears that they'll be able to do something about it. Mm-hmm. So, but we'll see.
Yep.
Now, for this one, were they wanting you to do a presentation or a speech, or?
They were talking about having me do a talk, but logistically they weren't sure how they were going to do it, because it was something that I think because it was kind of last minute, they weren't sure what they were going to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's too bad that we don't know what's going to happen in the future. 'Cause I think this is a trial run, and
Yeah.
depending on the success that they have, they'll release some more dates.
Yeah.
But it almost seems like it would almost be best if they would wait till the next event so that you have time to plan around it and be able to do the proper presentation and not just kind of put something together at the last minute.
Yeah.
So, or hopefully they consider you for the next one too. Then that would even be better.
Yeah. The way I look at it, if we get $25, that's $25. I mean, I when people say, "Oh, I can only donate $1," you know what? We're not going to argue with that. I mean, we're not greedy people. I know for some $1 could be a lot of money. We've had a long-term person who's donated to us every month, and this person can only donate $2 a month. But at the end of the year, that's $25. That's nothing to sneeze at. So
and that's the other thing that people look at it in $2 in the States, but $2 in Peru can go a little bit further than $2 in the States.
Exactly. Yeah, that's for sure.
So it is. Well, now as far as the conservation work that you guys are doing out there, I know that you guys have been studying some of the invasive species and stuff like that. But do you guys? What would be like a normal day at the research center for you guys? Like a normal business day. What are some of the things that are occurring, especially when you guys are going out in the field?
Well, right now, most of the day is spent trying to put the finishing touches on the public aquarium that we're going to be opening up in January, mid-January. But other than that, it would be maintaining, first thing in the morning, we go into the big fish lab and we go check all our fish. We start doing water changes, after which we feed the fish. And then whatever we need to do after that, whether it's, going out in the field and collecting fish or doing water sampling, it really, it changes from day to day, what may be involved in terms of the work that we actually do. And so, if we have students there, we have graduate students and undergraduates from the local university that are doing research there that we will, help out, supervise. And so it really just depends on who's there working and what they're working on.
Okay.
So it's going to vary from day to day.
So with the universities, the students that are coming out to help, are they also working on probably theses or something like that?
Yeah, they're either working on their undergraduate thesis or master's degrees, and some are working on their PhD. So it just, it really depends upon the students.
What are some of the researchers that they're trying to?
A lot of students are looking at natural products in terms of disease management. Others are doing, trying to breed fish, different techniques, the water parameters, the conditions, what it takes to breed these fish. We also, besides working with students, we work with some of the fishers associations, trying to help them out because, they may be losing fish. So we teach them all about disease management and what to look at in terms of how can you tell if your fish are sick, and what do you do to them at that point? Because, for every fish that they lose, the fishers, that's money out of their pocket.
Now, are we talking about ornamental fish or are we talking about
ornamental fish?
consumption? Okay.
We're only concerned with ornamental fish.
Okay.
I used to say we were the only research center in the world devoted to ornamental fishes until I went to the conference in Bangkok. And there's actually a research center in India that was started in 2008, in which their sole purpose is ornamental fishes too. So I can say we're the only research center on this side of the world whose sole purpose is ornamental fishes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't want to lie to people anymore.
Well, you weren't lying. You just
I just wasn't aware of it. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Now, the industry for the ornamental fish down there in Peru, is because you always hear fish coming out of Peru. Is the concentration there in Iquitos, or are there other cities or places in Peru where the exporters and importers are located, or is it pretty confident to say that if you're receiving fish from Peru, it's from Iquitos?
Well, no matter where the fish come from in Peru, there are a couple of other areas where they catch the fish. In southern Peru, most of them come through Iquitos because Iquitos has the biggest concentration of exporters. From Iquitos, all the fish then go to Lima.
Oh, okay.
And normally in Lima, they may be reboxed or repackaged, or but every international flight that goes out of Peru has to go out of Lima.
Yeah, I was going to say because of the airport, they have the bigger airport.
Yeah, but before you used to. This is a brand new law. Before COVID, you could actually. One of the flights I would take would be Copa Airlines, and Copa flies out of Panama City, Panama, and I could fly from LAX, Panama, then Panama directly to Iquitos. But the government came in and said, no. If you fly internationally, you have to fly through Lima. And so now everything goes through Lima, no matter what happens.
Okay, well, that kind of answered my question because believe it or not, the more I've gotten involved with this, the more my wife has taken an interest in it. And I had originally told her that I would love to be able to go see the facility down in Peru. And she kind of scuffed at me and took it for whatever. But after meeting you and hanging out and learning a little bit more about what we're doing, she took a little bit more interest. And then I showed her the website and she goes, "Oh, we got to go." I was like, "Oh yeah." So she said, "When you talk to Dr. Anthony, ask him, how do we fly down there?" And I said, "Okay, I'll do that." But you just kind of answered that question because all flights have to fly into Peru.
Yep.
And then from Peru, you take a hopper, or you take
from Lima you take you actually fly back north, so it's about an hour and a half, 45-minute flight from Lima to Iquitos. And so because you're in Arizona, right there, Yuma, you would fly probably out of LAX.
I'm flying out of Mexicali.
Okay, then you would take then you would fly from Mexicali to Mexico City, and then Mexico City to Lima. Yeah, I've taken that flight before.
It's a lot cheaper.
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper, but I've taken it from LAX to Mexico City. Which is not too good because you have to go through customs and immigration in Mexico City. Even though you're on an international flight out, you still have to go through customs and immigration and everything there in Mexico City. But
that's what I'm probably thinking. I'm probably gonna have to go through customs in Mexico City.
No, you would. No, because you're already in Mexico.
Okay.
In Mexicali. So yeah,
I'm gonna take a shortcut.
Yeah.
And so that'll be nice. Then we just got to work out the logistics once we get down there. Is there any Airbnbs or anything like that down there, or hotels?
There are Airbnbs. There are some cheap, decent hotels down there. Even the most expensive hotel, the Hilton, relatively speaking, is expensive for Iquitos, but it's about $100 a night there. which, you know, for American hotels is a relatively inexpensive hotel. You know, it's an average price hotel in a
Yeah,
lot
well,
of cities.
that's what you're paying for a Motel 6 nowadays. Is
Yeah, I
$100
know.
a night.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know, so at least in San Diego, that's what you're gonna. You
Yep.
know, I know maybe somewhere else, or you know, in the country, you're still paying $60 or $40,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you know, you go to San Diego, Motel 6, Super 8. What's the other Budget Inn? All the
Yep.
real, so quote unquote, you're not paying less than $120 per night.
Yep.
So now, is there attractions there in Iquitos that like tourism, geared
Oh
for
yeah, yeah,
tourism?
yeah. I mean, one of the biggest tourist, you know, or tourism things that people do now is the ayahuasca tours. You know, to get in touch with your inner
Yeah,
spirit.
so you
I
can
don't.
throw up after the
Well,
after the
you know,
experience.
I, you not only vomit, but you have diarrhea simultaneously for 12 hours. You know, to me,
That's
it's
the experience.
not.
That's the experience in itself. That's why you
Yeah,
see.
not something I want to experience. You know, I don't need to get in touch with my inner spirit that much. But
Well,
there, you know,
I
there,
guarantee you're vomiting and coming out the other end
yep,
for 12 hours. You're
yeah,
gonna see something.
yeah. You're gonna wish you had, you know, seen something. You're gonna wish you were dead. But there are some tourism things to see. One is the Butterfly Ranch. There's a
Oh, okay.
place that has butterflies, and they have like a little animal rescue center there, where you actually walk in a fenced in area and the animals are free to roam. There's also the manatee rescue center that we work with very closely. And there is a bad zoo in the area. Or you could actually go, you know, on a forest lodge for a couple of days. So yeah, Iquitos is a tourist area.
Okay.
You know, that's what it's known for: tourism and the fishing industry.
But it's kind of isolated, right? It's not very close to some of the other
Oh
major
no,
cities.
yeah, it's a place where you can only fly to or take a boat to. So it is
Oh,
it's an island in the Amazon itself. Yeah, so it's not a
yeah,
place you can, you know, get to very easily.
yeah. Because I know she mentioned, hey, maybe we can go to Lima and check it out. I said, I don't think so. I think you got to get on a boat to get around. So I don't think that's
Well,
gonna.
you know what I would tell people to do, if you know, if they're going to come to Peru, you know, whether it's come to the research center or go to Lima, you want to go to Machu Picchu,
Oh, okay.
you know, which is up in the highlands outside of Cusco, where, you know, it's these ruins from the old Inca tribes there, you know, in Peru. So it's a sight to behold for sure.
But you got to be in shape to go see that, right?
No. You take a train from
Oh,
Cusco, then you take a bus up to the ruins.
yeah. I was gonna say because the air is so thin up there that.
Oh yeah, yeah. My wife got really bad um, altitude sickness when we went up there. And so, you know, there's two ways to overcome the altitude sickness. One is coca tea. You know, coca is legal there in terms of a medicinal plant, or you have an oxygen generator brought to your room.
Oh wow.
And so, yeah, we had, you know, really bad problems with her with the altitude sickness for her. Because, you know, it's 12,000 feet high there in Cusco, at least.
Yeah, I know. That's what I've heard. That it's no joke trying to get up there. People kind of think it's like, oh, we're gonna just
Yeah,
go. It's a hill.
yeah.
I know it
Well,
isn't.
you know, there is a hiking trail, the Inca Trail, that you could take from Cusco, but it takes, you know, a week or two to walk that
Yeah,
trail.
you're talking about world class hikers
Yeah,
taking that trail.
yeah. That's for sure.
Not you or me.
No, not me for sure. Nope. I'm too old to be doing that stuff anymore.
Yeah, no, and that's what she was like. Oh, maybe we go. I go. I don't know. Let me talk to Dr. Anthony and stuff like that. But it'd be cool to be able to go out there and work at the facility for a
Yep.
while
Yep.
and get to experience what it's like to be at the research center.
Well, give us 3 weeks and you stay at the research center for free and we feed you.
Oh,
But you got to give us 3 weeks. That's the bad part. Not many, working people can actually give 3 weeks. Students is one thing, they can do that, but it's difficult for people who work for a living to actually be able to get 3 weeks off at any one time.
Yeah, there's actually I don't know. There's a girl. Her name's Lily, and I think her channel name is Lily Ichthyology.
Yeah. I've been talking to her for 4 or 5 years, actually.
Has she gone out there yet? I think she would love it out there.
She was going to before COVID, and she got really sick, and so she had to cancel. But yeah, it's someone we've been, I've been talking to for a long time.
Yeah, I know, because I know that she's trying to work on I call it the fish Wikipedia, because it's kind of the same idea. It's the concept of that, where it's people can update information and stuff like that, which is, I think, is brilliant, because that way you have a reliable source for updated information on species and stuff like that. Now, during the course of the time that you guys have opened the research center down there, how many new species have you guys been able to introduce or discover into the hobby?
That's we're nonprofit, so we don't deal with any of the business side at all.
Okay.
We have had about 4 or 5 brand new unknown species that have been brought to us by the local fishermen, or the fishermen that have gone out, 3 or 4 days out in the river and then come back. We have right now about 4 or 5 species on site that are undescribed. And, we're trying to go through that process of the descriptions right now, but it's a 4 or 5 year process. It's not something you all of a sudden find a new fish and say, okay, I'm going to give it a name. There's a process that you have to go through.
So what's that process kind of like? I mean, what are the things that they're doing? They're obviously dissecting these fish. You try to see.
Well, to figure out if it's a new species, there are counts that you can do on the fish: the number of fin rays, the number of scales, the number of vertebrae inside their body. But you can also do genetic work, and just look at the genetics of these fish to see if they are different from each other. And that's what I am and my students and the students in Peru are doing right now, trying to do some of the genetic work.
Okay, so that's what's going on in the lab. I know you guys have a full functioning lab, right?
Yeah. Well, full functioning. Yes, we have microscopes, dissection stuff. It's primitive. It's not like it's not like my lab at the university. It's things are everything that we have in the lab basically I have purchased here in the U.S. and then brought down there myself. So it's little by little it's getting more and more equipment in it, because things in Peru are about 3 to 4 times as expensive as they are in the U.S. So it's a lot cheaper for us to buy things here and bring them down, because we're nonprofit in Peru as well. We're allowed to bring things in and donate them to the research center there in Peru. The only problems we have, it's $220 in Peru, whereas here in the U.S. it's $110. So we have to, if we do bring electronic stuff, we just buy big transformers there to make sure we don't blow the equipment out.
Okay. Now, as far as I know that you guys work a lot with the fishermen there, but have you guys noticed any species being over harvest
Oh
in the
yeah.
time that you guys been
Oh yeah.
there? And
Yeah.
what are some of the steps that you guys are you guys involved with trying to explain to them? Look, it's best if we kind of limit it to what kind of work do you guys do with the fishermen?
Yeah. Well, I
The
mean,
conservation.
that's what we're trying to do. And they see it themselves.
Okay.
One of the fish we're really trying to develop a plan for is the chameleon loricarid,
Oh, okay.
which still they get a pretty good price for. They get probably $5 or $6 a fish, which is really, really good price. The exporters have them on their list for, $25 each. So it's not an inexpensive fish. But what's happening is the fishermen are having to go out further away from Iquitos itself and stay out longer to catch the same amount of fish. So they're noticing that they're catching fewer and fewer fish and smaller and smaller fish.
So these are the ones right here. Are these some of the ones like this one here?
Yeah. It's called chameleon because it has black and white stripes, and they do, like most fish, they can change their colors. Especially the white one, the second photo there. Yeah, that's a good photo of them.
Oh, okay. How big do they get?
They get about 6-7 inches max. And so they are being bred in Europe, and a few people are breeding them here in America. But we're trying to set up a sustainable breeding program for them in Peru, and that's what we're trying to do with the fishermen. Is some of these fish that are very rare, try to set up ornamental aquaculture for them that are run by the fishers themselves. For one thing, it makes them rely less upon the wild caught fish. And also what it does, it allows them to have a sellable product during the high water when they can't go out fishing.
So how many of them are actually taking that process and actually starting to breed fish?
There are two groups of fishers associations that are very interested in doing that.
Okay.
So this is something we're just starting to do. We brought some of these fishermen to the research center and shown them how to do it, because the ones that are easiest to do are the apistogramma. Apistogramma you can throw in a pond, not feed them, and harvest 4 or 5 months later, harvest a couple hundred fish. So we have proof of concept with apistogramma. Some of the other fish, it doesn't work very well. We've tried with red pencilfish, because red pencilfish are from an area very restricted geographic range, and they're considered to be extremely endangered. So we tried to breed them in ponds, but all the aquatic insect larvae, predaceous larvae, would eat the eggs and stuff. And so you can bring them into aquariums and breed them. But that's an expense that the fishermen just can't afford. They can afford to dig a hole, and within 2 or 3 days, that hole fills up with water. And so it's much easier for them to, raise fish that way, especially when you don't have to feed them. With the apistogramma, we're not feeding them. We're throwing them in a pond, and with all the insects that lay eggs and with the larvae, they just, eat all the insect larvae.
It's self-sustaining.
Yep.
Now, when these fishermen groups, are they like little villages that's all that they dedicate?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I figured, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, and the fishers we're working with are 3 or 4 day boat ride out of Iquitos. Oh, yeah, they're not locals. They're the ones that are really far out. That really, that's the only thing they can do is fish. If they're local in Iquitos, there are a couple of fishers associations. They can always do other things because of the big city of Iquitos. But in these small villages, there's no other thing they can do besides either, coca plantations or illegal harvesting of logs, of trees. So by keeping them in the fishing industry and by giving them a steady income all year long, we're preventing these other destructive, destructive things they can do to the environment. Because we're not telling them don't fish. I mean, that's their livelihood. But we're telling them that you don't have to fish as much and as hard because you're going to have this income all year long. And that's what's important to us.
Now, what other industries there are kind of threatening making your guys? Isn't mining a big deal down there?
Yeah, illegal gold mining is really taking place there. Even though the law in Peru, the environmental law says you cannot mine anywhere near the rivers.
Okay.
But yet that's where they're doing all their gold mining, is in the rivers.
They're dredging the rivers, right?
They're dredging the rivers, yeah, and they're taking big pumps and disturbing the banks, and how they're extracting the gold is they're using mercury.
Oh, that's the problem. It's the mercury that's going back into the waterways.
Mercury is going back in the problems, and and they've done testing in these gold mine villages, and the people, they test the hair, and their body is just filled with mercury now because the mercury bioaccumulates in the fish, and they're eating the fish, and so it's causing some major issues in the people there. But it's a fast buck. They make good money. That's all they're worried about, more so, is the money, not what they're doing to the environment.
So the idea is that they'll probably be able to mine as much as they can before this really becomes an issue publicly.
Yep.
And then they can just kind of pull out.
Yeah. And there was some gold mining going on in Iquitos, in the rivers around Iquitos, but they were shut down very quickly. We raised a big stink. We actually work with the #1 environmental lawyer in all of Peru. And so, luckily we know the right people. So we have actually some sway on when there are things that are going on, we try to get them shut down as quick as possible.
Okay. Now, what is the lumber industry? Is that an issue down there? I know,
well, it is everywhere in the Amazon, regardless. For most people, what they use the lumber mostly for is for fuel, because especially these villages, there's no electricity, there's no gas, and so they're using the lumber to make charcoal so they can use it as their cooking fuel.
But it's not as corporate as it is in Brazil, where they're clearing areas to be able to bring in the cattle
not
industry.
As much. Yeah, it's not as bad as Brazil. It still happens, but not like it happens in Brazil.
Hey, Steve. Hey, unmute your
Morning.
mic.
No.
Morning.
I owe you an apology, man. This one was really my screw up. I didn't realize,
bro.
Well, it's not that. I was down with my son in California when I scheduled it, and I put 11 o'clock. Thinking, I don't know. I just screwed up the time on it. I normally do it from the house, and then it sets everything right where the timing's on that. But
I wonder if there's a setting where you can set it.
The problem is I'm so close to the time border, where I'm in Mountain Standard Time, but as soon as I go over the Colorado River on the other side of the bank, it's Pacific Standard Time.
How's that work How's that work for you with your work?
We do everything California time, because our office runs off of the Bureau of Reclamation, which is in Arizona.
Okay.
So we do everything because we are serving them.
Yeah.
Basically, they're the agency in charge.
Okay.
So we go off of their time. So everything, even though our facility is in California, everything we do for logging is Mountain Standard Time.
Okay.
It's based off of. So that's what it's. I just wish everybody would quit moving,
Yep.
forward or backwards. But
It's all good. Good morning, y'all. Doc was I was listening and I was getting pissed because
okay.
it's true. And you know what I say, they're effing up the earth,
Oh
Yep.
right? And meanwhile, back at the ranch, like it's crude, and I'm gonna be honest, y'all. I'm changing my approach because I have to follow my own rules. And I was bitching to this about with my son, and one of my rules is whenever you put your stuff in front of the greater good of whatever it is you're supposed to be doing, it's not about that thing anymore. So that's where I'm at with the whole thing of changing my approach, because being received, being listened to, making impact is more important than other things. So I'm changing my approach with the whole way that I put information out to people, if that makes any sense. There's a time and a place for everything, and it's called college.
It's real simple. You're cleaning up it's real simple. All that was to say you're not going to swear as much.
Oh, I'm going to continue to swear. It just won't be sailor. I'm gonna knock it down. I'll do like Army. I'll go Army.
Well, that's bad. If you're going Army,
well,
that's bad.
Probably Air Force then, I suppose.
Yeah, well, that's
not cussing. Anyway, it's irrelevant. But no, my hashtag is F them polar bears. And the reason I say that is because I want to evoke emotions. I'm using the same Freudian tactics that the people who are going to charge us to breathe here in a few years are using to make people afraid of artificial things and, make you forget 8th grade biology with invisible threats. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the real effery that's going on, like, people don't want to accept it because we're all complicit in it. This computer, I mean, it's like, it's not about emotion. I have a science mind. And if you're going to be in science, you have to learn how to be objective. You have to learn how to take emotions out of it. And I know it comes off like it's crude and brash and preachy, but how you feel versus how it is are completely different things. And it's one of those things where science it has to be refutable. It has to be proven. What is science? Proving natural phenomenons that exist. And we boom, 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 peer review. We measure, we observe, we collect, we infer. Then you have like the stages that they have to go through, like something can't be a theory first and then a law. And then there's a flow of it. So that's what I was getting at. Like we are implicit. I'm not saying technology is bad. I'm saying as smart as we are, we could have better and still do zero impact and do better for the earth at the same time. So it's a mindset. It's a mentality. Like when Yvonne was on our last show, right? I've been thinking a lot, just ruminating. The fish tank, right? The hobby, the aquarium, the plants, all this stuff. Okay. So what? Good. But what impact? What about outside? What about the world? What about our home? This is just furniture. And every people that have been knowing me since this social media thing and before, they know my slogan, F them damn fish. It's furniture. Seriously. In the context of being unkind to someone, just being a jerk over literal empirical data, where we have an opportunity here with social media, with the internet, to be able to have a published professor, a doctor on our show. But because he ain't all out, hey guys, and he comes off like some old crotchety jerk. I'm just gonna be real.
Hey, I resemble that comment.
I'm just being honest. But you can go on ResearchGate. You can go. This gentleman is internationally published in double digits. But because he don't got gimmicks and he ain't killing stingrays every other weekend. I don't give a shit. I'm here for it. The energy is misplaced, and I've been waiting for this opportunity. And George, I'm going to say it. I felt the same way, Doc. My whole mentality was, if these people like fish like I like fish, then by the time I get on YouTube, I should be good. Shit. Meanwhile, exactly. Radio silent. And it's okay because Providence and the universe got my back. And y'all do too. And I love y'all for that. So that's like where my objectivity comes from. There's things that emotions go to, and it's perfectly healthy. I work on mine. I'm not perfect. I'm the other end of the spectrum, like, and I work on it, work in progress. But I think science is my crutch because that's the only place where the rules, it is written that the rules, you have to be objective. Now, once, like, when you get into it, it ain't, we're people, we F up everything we touch, but this is where I'm at. So thanks for being here, I suppose. It's kind of scary because when you get into this stuff, you start to see humanity for what it is. And it goes past the furniture and it goes to like these jokes I make all the time, like silly shit, like I get malaria for the hobby, or going to these crazy countries, and like if it ain't stray dogs and dirt roads, I don't want to go. If you ain't got to worry about bed bugs and locking up your money, I don't want to go. But it's the truth. I want y'all to cry good. I want montages. I want good music. Don't put that many videos of me when I was fat, though. It's gonna get better. But it goes, basically what I'm saying is you have to dedicate your life to it. And I don't think that many people really understand how deep this rabbit hole goes when you start talking about keywords like mercury, oil, gold, pollution, bureaucracy. Who are we? Some janky nerds that like fish. So using science the way science is, money talk and BS walk all day long. You have to make it profitable to save the earth, which is why this man on our panel here today is a genius. Put the money behind it. If that's all you want is the money, okay, we got that. Let's do this, and this. Here's your bottom line. Here's that. Here's that. There's your solution. Unless you just want to be a jerk. And nobody in business likes bad PR. And that's what I'm going at. That's what I alluded to the last time he was our guest. I'm not marketable. So you know what? I just sell the plants. It's that simple. The plants are sell this. They're pretty. I love them. They love me back. It's love in a box. It's a net. There you go. So it's what's next? What do we do next, Doc? What do we do next? Moving forward, like what do you see happening with sustainability, the bureaucracy part? How do you make people aware without dying, number one? Number two, without making people uncomfortable. You don't tell nobody that they're wrong. It's about education and understanding, right? Like, why do you feel that way? And then I'm gonna listen. Well, I'll be damned. Okay. I could see why you see it that way. And you've been here the whole time. No Facebook, no YouTube, no nothing. This is how y'all do it. Okay, I see. And then, you go on. So moving forward, what do you see?
Well, you need to educate people. Especially a lot of people in the hobby don't really know what's happening. They see a pretty fish and they say, okay, I want that pretty fish, but they don't understand that one pretty fish may have been 500 fish to begin with. You know, the amount of death through the process is really high for wild caught fish. You know, for one thing, you know, let's take some of these fish that are coming 4 or 5 days on a boat into Iquitos. You're going to lose at least 50% of those fish, at least. Then they get to the exporters, and the exporter is probably going to lose at least 50% of the fish. You know, they come in bad shape. They're not treated very well at the exporters, believe it or not. And then when they ship them out, you're going to have, you know, a certain percentage of DOA. So, you know, with a wild caught fish that fisherman may get a penny for, by the time it reaches your aquarium store, that's now a $25 fish. And, you know, and people want to know, why are my fish so expensive? Well, you know, that each group along the way has got to have to make their money. And the exporters have to make up for all that they're losing. Same with the wholesaler, and same with your local fish store. So if you understand the process and demand that they get good fish, that fish are treated correctly along the way, we get a better product. You know, if you look at what happens in Europe, what happens in America, Europeans demand quality fish, and they'll pay for quality fish. Unless you're really a dedicated hobbyist, for the most part, Americans want cheap fish. And sometimes the cheap fish are the bad fish. So a lot of times we don't get the quality fish because we just don't pay for the fish. But if you demand quality fish and demand that the fish are treated correctly, we will get a better product. But we need education in our hobby. Education on what, you know, the whole process involved, whether it's coming from a farm in Thailand or coming from, you know, wild caught fish from Africa. You have to understand the process that these fish go through in order to get to your pet store. And so it all involves education.
Now, how do, I guess it's just being able to get out in front of groups of people and talking about this. This is probably the only way that this is going to happen, or what would you suggest would be a way to be able to educate more people?
Well, it's through, you know, like this, in some ways that, you know, people in the audience, no matter who they are, you know, are made aware of this, and then they tell their fish groups. You know, it's really through word of mouth, because we all know that there's a lot of misinformation on the internet when you just look up stuff. And, you know, a lot of that misinformation is perpetuated throughout the hobby. We've all seen that information, you know, even when you go to talk, sometimes you hear that misinformation, you know, being repeated by speakers who you think should know better. Yeah. You know, and I'm the type of person, I tell this to my students, if I don't know the answer, I'm not going to lie to you and make an answer up. But what I will do is I'll say, I don't know, but I'll find out for you, or let's find out together. Because the worst thing you can do is once your students or once your audience knows that you're lying to them, then you've lost them forever. And, you know, and when I tell people information, it's from my experience, and we all have different experiences. I may be able to breed guppies in one type of water. Other people going to breed guppies in another type of water. Who's correct? Well, both of us are correct. It just depends upon how we're treating our fish. And so, when I tell people how to breed fish, I'll say these are my experiences.
Right.
It's not the law. It's not the gospel truth. You may be able to do it much different. And, people ask me because they know I breed discus, and discus are my favorite fish. How do you breed discus? Well, you have healthy fish.
Mm-hmm.
Do you need soft water for discus to breed? Well, not necessarily. It just depends on where your fish are from.
Yeah.
I tell people, find out when you buy discus what water they were bred in.
Right.
Because if they were bred in hard water, then you selected for fish that will breed in hard water. If you have wild caught fish, they're probably not going to be able to breed in hard water. But it's the information that you need. It's that education that you need about your fish that you buy, that you actually need. And a lot of people won't go to that length to get that proper information. Just because your pet store has the fish in certain water doesn't necessarily mean that's the water that they need to be in.
Can I interject, please? If these are solid points. And the first point is they're not scientists. And everything you just said solidified the fact that if you're going to be in this mind frame, in this realm, if you will, you have to be objective. It's just information. The second point I would like to throw in there is I called the phenomenon the baby duck syndrome, and Yvonne was laughing when I explained it. And it's people, they get into the hobby, they get on YouTube, they get on the Google, I should say. They go to YouTube, they see the video. They go and they're at the store, something's on sale. Barreras Brigite, cool. Chili raspberry for you people. And they go get them and they take it up there and they Google Barreras Brigite and boom, all these videos pop up. And they go through them, they watch them. Then they the ones that stick, and they get their flavor. They've been imprinted. That's that broody hen sitting on that egg. Now, as they develop and learn and mature in the hobby, if they do, they excuse the things that these people do, even though it's unethical, it's wrong, etc., and they vehemently defend them with almost cult-like behavior. When us objective people who try not to put our BS in front of the fish, that's what I keep pointing to. Those are Coptodon cote. And then they get upset, and it's not about that. And the education part, we got an opportunity now. This expo that I'm participating in, the only reason that I said I would go on board for it is because he is about the hobby. Flat out. Nothing else needs to be said. And it's places like this where we can actually elicit change. And then it's business. And then we're not taking money from you. We're bringing you money. Look, like what Doc said earlier, you can raise these fish. You can do it sustainably. And because they are cared for, you can charge a premium price. And what he's saying is it's a responsibility. It all goes back to the put your money where your mouth is. And what I'm saying is this: the internet is an opportunity. Everything's viral. Everybody likes to copy. That's cool. Let's make doing it right viral. If you want to flex, make it matter. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to tell nobody what to do. We're not here for that. It's not my right nor my intention. Who the hell who am I? So I'm looking at it to where it's like, what if since I've been on YouTube since 2011, since I was fat and skinny again, surgery shot and steroids. People saw that and it wasn't shadow banned. You know, I know my videos were crap, but I kind of like them. They're actually substantial. I watch them and laugh because I'd be like, damn, I forgot I did that. But what if the trend was to pump that money into things that are actually sustainable, that gave the hobby a good name, that actually impacted everybody that touches those fish from the time they get caught, like on Nemo, to the time they go to the handler, then the merchandiser, then the warehouse, then customs. Y'all don't know how the game goes. Then from customs to the States, and then customs again, and then a crazy ass broker, and then another warehouser, and then the big boys in Florida, and then to us, and then to y'all. Everybody needs to make money off of it. Why can't they? We're supposed to be smart. This is a nerd sport. So these expos like this can be the opportunity to donate money to these foundations, to showcase, hey, this is what we out here doing. And it becomes holistic, and then it's not cringy to talk about how you feel when the information is there that your electric car ain't saving the earth. I'm not here to hurt you. I love your altruism. I want to help too. I want to do right. But when you get pissed off because people trying to bring up awareness that it's people literally dying so you can drive your car that didn't volunteer, like I was in the military. I signed up to go get shot up so we could drive. That's why I bitch when gas is high. But there's people who didn't volunteer to die. And it's killing the fish. I'm a killifish head. All the killifish, all of them for electric cars. There's so many endemics and stuff. And I'm not even trying to preach. I'm trying to like tie it all together, like what this whole thing is. It's supposed to be fun. That's what the auction's for. That's what all that stuff's for. I think what happens is because it's social media and we don't have contact with each other, everybody's discernment is skewed. Okay. And then I ain't met a person yet who like to waste their love. You know, you get bamboozled once, like W said, and then fool me again. Like it is what it is. So people have a hard time separating the wheat from the chaff. And then when you get like Dr. Anthony, he'll come up and he'll show you something like those the nanostomas, the red ones from last year. Was that last year or 21? 21.
Last year too, yeah.
Yeah. Like boots on the ground. Like I know the mud puddle where they were at. Like I found them. That stuff's cool. And it's like, think about it. I'm being honest. The money that goes into keeping up with the Joneses, making sure you appease the fish police and the do it right or thou shalt stand in traffic gods. All that money that goes into this and that, and likes, thumbs ups, the attaboys, the pats on the backs, but none of y'all go to the meetings. None of y'all know that people will give you the fish that you never dreamed of having if you just, took yourself out of it and made it about the fish. Let me look. I'm a black dude in my 40s from Houston, country as hell, with a gold grill and a rather colorful vernacular, going out of my comfort zone to hang out with people who judge me instantly to play with some damn fish. It is what it is, though. I'm bringing up a point of there's no excuse. And honesty is the best policy. If you don't want to do that, just say it. I respect your mom. But like get out of the way of the people who are trying to do something. That's what I'm saying. It's plenty. It's plenty of food. Like the table's set. You can sit down and get you a plate. I'm not telling nobody that they can't eat. I just don't want you dipping your fries in my ketchup, bro. That's it. We ain't cool. But you're not a dog, and you will not eat on the floor. You can sit down. You can sit down at the table, homie. But you ain't dipping it. No, I don't know you like that. Y'all, I'd cuss you out, but yeah, bro, go on and dip, bro. Go on and dip. You know, I'll let y'all get a dip. But yeah, and it's okay. And there's other people that wouldn't want me to dip in their ketchup. It's okay. But I would hope that you'd love me enough as a goddamn human being to at least let me sit at the table and not eat on the floor like a dog. And that's where I'm at with it. It's just fish tanks. Like Yvonne said, okay, what now? Okay, what now? If we could do this in the 90s, I swear I would have found a way to be at some of these people's funerals that I shouldn't say the word, but I have no other word. Go figure, right? Idolized when I was younger. I think I told a pile I want to meet if he's still alive, and I should be ashamed of myself. I haven't had time to look. It was random. He wrote a lot of books. He's a Dutchman. His name is Philippe de, I'm going to butcher it, Philippe de Vosholy or something like that. But he wrote all the little care books. He did a lot of reefing books. He did a lot of reptile books. But husbandry, you know that their husbandry is like they take care of animals. So I'm sorry, June. I'm lightening it up now. Now you're making it feel obligated, and I hope it resonates the same. Well, it should. I love you. There, see, look, boom, smile. So, like, damn, June. Look what June did to me. Threw me off my shit, but not really. But the internet being that opportunity to network, love you too. I really do. I don't use that word loosely. It's a verb. It's a great opportunity to meet, to network. Like you don't have to, to wait for like your magazine to come in the mail. Like you can meet like I can click on the author of anything and contact. It's amazing. And all I'm doing is being smart and observant and okay, let me try this. I'm experimenting. Well, shit, if all this repulsive nonsense, all this deplorable nonsense can get virtue attached to it, surely there's people still left in the idiocracy who have a drop of genuine UT left in their being that'll get on board. Got to. And I'm just keep plugging. And that's where we're at. Like, if every like third to fifth white on any social media is a crotch shot of a random young lady, surely me talking about cladistics and taxonomy, interlates with a little bit of profanity can't be that bad. I'm just saying. So that's where I'm at. Like, this is a beautiful opportunity. The internet, this expo, it's new. That's another benefit to wanting to do it is it's new. I want to see, have you been able, Dr. Anthony, to share what's going on with that?
Yeah. Jorge and I talked about it before you got on. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, but the timing didn't seem to work out.
Well, it did and it didn't. The timing worked out because you said, put your money where your mouth is. Then like 2 shows later, well, after that show, it was like, man, damn. I think I might have. No, you ain't did nothing. This is dope. And then boom, boom, and boom. All of this, it's not even serendipity. I've been saying, I told White Boy Tommy, I told Jorge, I told Jay Watts, I told all the homies. It's not serendipity. The universe is university. That's it. It's just put it out there. Just manifest it. And don't put yourself in front of the fish. June said profanity is the only good thing about being an adult. Yes, I have to cite my sources, so I will find it. And I'm going to do it on my website, Warrior Planet Tank, because that was this goes into the point. I will make this relevant, lest it be a tangent. So the profanity, there's studies that show people that use profanity attached to intellect. There is no inference on demographics, don't get socio-political. Keep your inferiority complexes in check. All they're talking about is the brain, the mindset. Like the same people that use a lot of profanity have ADD. It's a higher percentage. So I'm going to find those studies. I'm going to cite it. I'm going to publish it on Warrior Planet Tanks. The relevance. My website is not finished. It's not perfect by no means. It's presentable. I'm a one-man show, but I have people helping me when they can. But the vision is this, to make it more or less a place to contribute, to be educated. It's this is the lab. That's what Warrior Planet Tanks is. The blogs are drafted to be published. I didn't want to just put a whole bunch on there, but like I'm fixing it to where, like, if you click on a plant, like if you click on Amanea gracilis, you click on it and it'll hyperlink it and it'll take you to some blog articles that I've written, or it'll take you out into the inters of net, not other people's websites selling plants AdSense BS. Like, do the inters of net so you can learn about Amanea gracilis or senegalensis, or pick one. I think they're both pretty. So that's in the works. And it's one of those things where sources are cited. I'm not here for no anecdotal bullshit. There's profanity. Like, if I'm wrong, don't make it about correcting me, putting me in my place. Like, none of that. Like, I can meet you and we can settle that way, because that's what that energy is. But if it's about science, then it must be refuted. And if you can do so, and you can do it objectively, I'm here for it. So I'm doing that on mine to see how it does, how it's received. And it's not one of those things where it's like a cult. That's what was the mind boggler for me to work around, was how do we circumnavigate this cult-like behavior where people attach their emotions to the most innocuous things like furniture. And, I feed my dog Alpo. You son of a bitch. You should use Old Roy. Oh, they're both not good for a dog. I don't care. I'm not sponsored. So how could I circumnavigate it? And the best way that I could think of was treat it like a classroom. Treat it like one of those awful group projects. I don't like group projects. I never did. It's PTSD from when I was little. The kids was mean because I was smart. Assholes. I could fight. I was angry because my mom died. So whatever. But the way to circumnavigate it, treat it like a classroom. Put the stuff, my inferences, how I hate to say it, but what I've observed, what I've gathered, what I infer, where I got it from, and see what it go. And then I do annotate, like, in my experience, this is what happened to me. It's authentic. I wrote it. Me, this guy, with these. Well, actually, I used this, and I used the what the hell, that voice to type thing on Google Docs. I'm not gonna age myself, but when I was stationed in Pensacola, they had came out with the Dragon. Remember that shit? And you could talk and type when it first came out. And I just thought that was the coolest thing. But I was cheap, and I didn't want to pay for it. Now it's standard, and I do not understand why. Like when we get homework, everybody's like, "Oh, I'm gonna use ChatGPT," or, well, and okay, cool, I get it. It's a tool, but just put this thing on and say it. You can drink soda, watch TV, whatever you want, and say your paper. And then you look at it, and if you got to fix it up, and that gets your mojo going. I'm just throwing it out there. That's the technique I use. So if it's written like I'm talking, because I was. So those are ways of Jorge. He inspired me when he said shit, do something. I'm gonna do $100. And then Rico was like, don't nobody ever want to do nothing, and everybody wait for somebody to start something and then jump on, but then they don't want to help. They just want to be famous. And he didn't say that. I'm inferring that. And no, because I'm not mincing words. But then in the inference being, and I agree with Rico, like, we just out here being us on the internet. It's a hobby, because that's what it is. It's a hobby. If we as individuals make the elective choices to turn this into something else, that is on us. But nonetheless, it's a hobby. And I'm right there with you, Wi-Fi, and like, get on board. When that's what I meant when I said holistic. Then you will begin to understand why I ain't trying to die on you again, June. You got an insurance smooch. I ain't getting you another one. My wife gonna cuss me out. But it's like this is killing killifish, man. I got Sheila in there. I got a few of them in there. It's on my social media, one of them ones, but critically endangered from Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire, all of West Africa. I'm not going to get into that. But
why the problem is you're not explaining why it's killing fish.
The same activities that are killing.
No, I know why, but
the mining.
No, again, Steve, this is the conversation that we had. You assume everybody knows what's going on.
Because of the runoff from the production leaches into the water table, and it creates a very toxic environment, in a nutshell.
Yeah.
That to get you down the right path without going. Yeah, my bad. I did assume, bro. I did. I assumed that, but moving on. That's what I meant though. Wi-Fi, like, I pretty much, I do what I can, and I quoted the Boondocks. What Pop said. You do what you can. When you can't just sit and do anything, but you feel as though there's nothing you can do, what do? You do what you can. So that's what I'm doing with everything. It's like I said, it's been hectic. Hopefully it'll start smoothing out, and there'll be more information, and just collab. I got Instagram, which ain't gonna be around too much longer, and I'm trying to do the TikTok thing. And then there's this. So that's what you got right now. I'm not a good reacher outer. I don't socialize, but if you establish a genuine connection with me, you ain't gonna be able to get rid of me. I'm a Taurus. I'm not mean. I just care. Seriously.
Yeah. I wanted to go back to a point that Dr. Anthony was making earlier about the
What's that?
pricing of fish,
Oh yeah,
and the quality of fish.
I know.
And
Thank
I know Patty just alluded to that too. And
you.
this
Thank you.
goes back to the whole with the hobby and lifestyle stuff. But it is so
Mhm.
true what Dr. Anthony said that we as Americans don't want to pay for the quality fish. And the perfect example of that is everybody complains about the quality of fish you get at a big box store, but they like the pricing. And then you have establishments like Dan's Fish, to name one.
Like
You
me,
go,
yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, because it did hit a nerve because I was thinking about how good you got to take care of stuff.
yeah, but you're not doing this at a production scale.
I'm
And I'm
sorry.
trying to make a point.
Go ahead.
And the thing is, where he'll bring in fish, he'll quarantine them. If they're in bad shape, he'll bring them back to health. But all of that is reflected also in the pricing. But people complain all the time because they're so expensive. Why is a neon fish that you can get at PetSmart $1.25, but he's selling it for $8? Well,
Hmm.
it's exactly what the whole thing of the quality of the fish. And until we get beyond past that mindset, we're going to continue to perpetuate that bad quality of fish. So I think the education also has to be not only that, but getting people to understand. And like somebody was saying that, these are not just, little animals. They do have a value. I think Patty was the one that was alluding to that.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to get over the fact that, okay, yeah, big box stores have fish that are very inexpensive, but the quality of that fish is going to be very inferior. Now, that also goes if you can
Oh.
if you can increase the value in the production line, it's going to discourage. Well, it should discourage people from trying to over harvest or trying to cut corners or trying to fish out of season because they don't have to worry about making a living if they can get compensated relatively well for what they're doing, and it allows them to create opportunities for them. But like Dr. Anthony says, sometimes they're getting like a penny per fish, so that means that they have to double or triple the amount to be able to make a suitable income to sustain themselves during whatever, because they function on seasons down there. It's not like it's year round where they can operate and be able to bring in a resource. Now, obviously, the Amazon Research Center is trying to teach them that during the off season they can still be in the reproduction or production of fish to be able to sustain them through that course. But I think being able to increase the value of these fish along the way, where it trickles down, the trickle down effect, where that money goes down to the base roots, would go a long ways to the conservation of these fish too. But as a society, we have to be willing to accept that and be willing to pay that extra amount just to be able to contribute to that conservation.
No, that's a solid point. I want to go back to what YFI said because it ties into everything, and this is how this is how to get an action going. We veterans. You know, where's his comment where he said basically, how do we make it a lifestyle? Okay. Yeah. One of the shows back, Jorge was having some kind of like quarter life crisis or something. I don't know. I think he wasn't sleeping right. But he was like, I've just been thinking and reevaluating everything, and I'm going to be a hippie now. I'm pulling on my filters and I'm putting sticks in my tanks. And I was like, cool. So we had this whole show about me saying I was the same thing of floor space, right? Floor space. If it's in my house, like if it's in here, it's furniture, and I want it to be nice, and it is a hobby, and it is a privilege to be able to do this, so I got to make it matter. So I started keeping earth natives, also known as endemics, okay? Because I like watch a few of the past videos, and well, people that don't know you, they really would think that you are Riri. So when I say earth natives, I mean endemics. So that's what led to these guys That's what led to most of the fish I have. And that's one of the ways I think that you can incorporate it and make it a lifestyle. Because I issued a challenge. I said, look at all the fish. Look at the fish in your house. Every one of you. Look at the fish in your house. I don't care. I don't care what it is or where you purchased it or got it, but just look at what you have swimming. Find out where it comes from. After you find out where it comes from, Google that place, that country, and take a look at what's going on, the current events, the environmental news, the political, are they at war? Just take a look so you get a story, so it becomes personal. That way, I'm in Houston. I can take the little homies from my son's high school over here to the park and show them Gambosia. I can show them different things. And it becomes this sense of ownership. It's yours. It's in your backyard. You take care of it. And that's a way you can make it a lifestyle along the lines to where we demand premium prices. I'm going to be crude, but I have to. You ain't going to get nothing done by blocking the road and holding signs and pissing people off. This is about money. They want money. That's what gets it done. So if we as a collective could bring them the money, in theory, we should be good, because the only thing you have left with is you just want to be a jerk. That's where I'm trying to get. And the internet is the best opportunity. This is Marty McFly shit. This is beautiful. Like, I can talk to the remote and turn on music. Like, it's great. And that's one of the ways I think that you could make it a lifestyle. That's what I'm doing. Everything. I got the Turkanas over there. I'm scared. I'm scared what's happening to the Turkanas. You guys have to be responsible, okay? Those are endemic. Those are one of two of the only East African in that whole clade of fish, that whole family. And what's happening is they're pretty and they're selling, and they breed like they breed they went back to the old name. They're not hemichromous anymore. They're rubra catachromis. You gotta stay up to that. Like, look at Eschmeyer's. So you don't look like a jerk. And people are breeding them with different other jewel species because they are generically listed as jewels. Well, the word Turkana has a premium price attached to it. So now the list price for a Turkana jewel is damn near the same as some of your haps and some of your nice fancies, your fancy Malawis. So what I'm saying is it's twofold. One, the premium price does catch people's attention, everybody in the loop. Number two, as hobbyists, this is our hobby. The same way we police how the hell everybody running their tanks in their house, we need to police the hobby itself. Meaning, Lifalili should never be anywhere close to Exul. Now you see what I'm getting at, Jorge? I see your face. Like crossbreeding. You got these different. It's just like with the killifish, and then you got people that are motivated by money. They're gonna take advantage of someone who just wants these pretty red fish, and they're gonna end up with a tank full of not Exul, probably a hybrid. And it's cool because they're just fish, but it's not cool at all because there's zero integrity in it. Morally, ethically, and the most importantly, scientifically. It's a mutt. It's a mutt. How you gonna like? That's not what that is. So
Yeah, but the thing is, most of these, a lot of the ornamental fish that are out there nowadays, at some sort of way, have been hybridized. I mean, it's not, you don't see a lot of the natural state fish because they're not all colorful like that. So they've been
mm,
selectively bred or bred with other kind of out of the fish to get certain characteristics. Yeah,
I'm kind of
it's
spoiled. I got killifish, so
uh,
yeah, I know, yeah. They I would say this. I would say they're domesticated,
yeah,
not necessarily hybridized, because a jumbo Florida pond neon tetra is still a neon tetra. You see what I'm saying? But I'm talking about two different. Dude, there's so many evolutionary
well, no, but
variants.
look,
They
if
would
you
never
take
meet
into
to breed.
consideration like swordfish, right? Swordtail fish,
Yeah,
those have been bred with interbred with platies to be able to get some of the colors. That's why you
yeah,
have so
absolutely.
many. So that's what I'm saying. I
Yeah,
don't
those
know.
ornamental exotics, yeah. But see, this is what I'm talking about, the integrity part. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about balloon mollies at Petco. You know what that
No,
is when you go see it. I'm talking
yeah,
about distinct species, recognized, endemic,
okay. I get all of this, but what does
you
that got to
know,
do with the research center?
that's what they're doing. They're
Who?
showing sustainability.
Oh, okay.
That will become one of the procedures in the SOP. That's what I'm saying. It catches eyes. Now, what's our responsibility as hobbyists to educate people who wouldn't know? So now when they go and pay X times markup on a Turkana, it damn well better be in Turkana. Well, how you know? Because I'm a nerd and I can count anal fin rays. Look at this lateral line. This ain't that. Give me my money back, and I'm keeping the fish because it's cool and it don't need to be out there breeding no more. That's what I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
but the
It's
thing,
called accountability.
yeah, I understand that, Steve. But the reality is, maybe 10% of hobbyists are in that realm. Most people like a fish because they see it and it looks pretty, and that's what they want.
That's okay
Um,
too. But
yeah,
there's no
so
place for that 10%. And that's why I'm here.
hmm.
And that's why, thank you again, Dr. Anthony here. Putting it out there. Like, let's make this part of the internet cool. This part of the hobby cool on social media and use it for the opportunity that it is.
Well, and I think a lot of it goes down back to not everybody's willing to do research. That's the problem. Not
Right?
research is there. Not everybody takes the time to read the research, um, especially in
That's true.
today's society where everybody. How many people actually still read books? I mean, it wasn't that big number maybe 10 years ago. It's a lot less now.
Right.
Uh, and I think that's what Dr. Anthony was alluding to,
Mm-mm.
the fact of being able to come onto platforms and be able to talk about some
Right.
of these issues, just because people are not necessarily going to take the time to go read a research paper. I can't, ever since I left the university, I don't think I've ever read another research paper. Other than when I go down these little rabbit holes trying to find out information on a certain species, but it's not a common practice that I do. So the idea of trying to educate the public is a lot of it being able to provide a platform for the
Mhm.
educated people to be able to disseminate that information and be able to talk about these issues.
You're exactly right, Jorge. You are 1,000,000% right. That's the most you've ever been right that I've acknowledged you as a human being. 1,000,000%. And that's what I did. Ain't nobody finna read. No, I took a page out of your book. This is a twofer. This is a twofer. Not only did I acknowledge you being right, and I took a page out your book, I'm acknowledging that too. Damn. I'm gonna get some money. Look, when you told me, you was like, dang it, Steve. He didn't say dang it, y'all. I done went over, exceeded my cuss limit for the day. He was like, dang it, Steve. You gotta stop assuming people know what you know. And sometimes you gotta spoon feed them. So
It's not
he
that,
didn't,
Steve.
and he didn't say, and wait, let me finish. And he was
No,
like,
because
not
that's
like you're
making it.
dumb.
No, look, listen,
Oh,
because words matter. And the way
Oh,
you're
I'm about
coming
to make
off,
it clear.
I'm trying to be a friend. The way you're coming out of right now, the way you sound is very pretentious.
Well, I'm not trying to be
Well, okay,
pretentious.
I exactly, and
Let
I'm
me
trying to
finish.
walk you off of that. I'm trying to
Yeah.
walk you off of that.
Well, I could have done it myself. Like, so what I was saying is like, not on the sense of spoon feed, like I'm better than you, but he was like, bro, you gotta say it in terms that the people understand and make it so everybody understands and not be so damn abstract. Because if you're the only one who know what you're talking about, it's not that effective. And again, it's valid. It's sound. It was sound advice. So that's what was the goal, and that's really why it took so long. Like the reason it took so long, there were so many postponements and big announcements for my website relaunching, apart from life and capital and all that stuff, was trying to make it a platform to be educated, knowing that people ain't reading research papers and all that stuff unless they want to go down a rabbit hole. So I send you down a rabbit hole and I give you a shovel with links to cite my sources. You don't got to read those papers, but that's that shovel to help you dig and continue your rabbit hole, because guess what? We all can't be on the internet at the same time. But if we put our egos over there, all this collective time on the internet, we can come across a lot. And if there was just somewhere to put it where objectively we could all go and look at it and nobody's a jerk and I'm Dr. This and I'm such and this and dude, you're a chiropractor. Stop. And like, if we could just get away from that and just have that objectivity, like my analogy that I've been using, every other Saturday, me and you, we get up here and we do fish, plants, y mas. This is the Civic Center, the VFW Hall, wherever. We are such and such fish club. We done paid our little $75, $150 deposit because people don't know how to throw trash. And we fishing to go and get our hobby on every other Saturday. There is nowhere like that on the internet. And I have been on this whole, if you build it, they will come vibe since I started. And this is why I said that. I'm trying my best. I am doing it. I'm not putting it behind a paywall. Information's free. The plants pay for it if people buy them. And if they don't, I just got pets. It's cool. And it's like, what are you doing? Action, action, action. And that whole vibe of put your money where your mouth is, it does resonate. But everybody, it's so multifaceted. We don't all have the same economic situation. We don't all have the same lifestyle, the same home background. Everybody's different. I get it. However, if there was something substantial that was credible, that was trustworthy, that people could just go to and do science, like that VFW hall, like that Civic Center, I think that it would be more impactful. And that's what I'm trying to do. That's literally it. Ain't that lost signal. But that's what I'm doing. There he is. Gotcha.
Sorry.
That was it, just making a place. That's really why it's taking so long. And then the old site got compromised and found out. So we threw the whole thing away and moved the domain to another. So it's a work in progress, y'all, but it's what there's people, look, the same people on the internet now, they inspired me. I'm not trying to plug nobody, and I'm just saying, like, I like their stuff, I use them. Like when you get on the internet, there's websites that pop up. I don't use them all, but the ones that pop to my head, it'll be like Badman, Seriously Fish, The Spruce, all them pet websites that pop up, you know? And I'm extremely analytical, and I like languages. I like syntax. I can read something for the most part. It's getting better though, and tell if it's AI or not. Like or if English isn't their first language, just because the syntax is off, it doesn't flow correctly. But that's because I'm an observant person. I like nature, so they inspired me though, nonetheless. And I was like, well, do what you can. This whole time, since even the first launch, that was it. It wasn't about selling plants and merch. It was about having a place where people could go and do science. Like this thing with the Aquanation Expo. You get to go do science. You get to see stuff you don't always get to see. Why? Because you have a conglomeration of hobbyists in one place, happy as hell to be in a big building with some money. That's it right there. The people that come to talk know what they're talking about. They wrote books. They did go to school, and it's actually for what they're talking about, not a chiropractor. And it's those things that I'm excited because it's the internet, baby. It's 2023. And I think it's just the paradigm needs to shift. And I think the glue to keeping it stuck is emotion. And that's rooted in that baby duck syndrome I told you about. This is only in the like social media, because it's like that in clubs. It's people. You're gonna have the one that know everything, the one that this, the drunk, the one that hit on everybody. Why? You're gonna have that. It's people. But again, that has nothing to do with fish. You don't associate with those types if you don't wish to. No one's forcing you. You don't have to associate with them just because they have fish. Discernment. That's what I'm saying. So we can get to the science. And that's what this whole push is for, is being able to see this as an opportunity, especially like with the internships. Imagine if it was trendy and cute to be able to flex on the internet that you was in Peru at
Yeah,
Arkansas
but look,
working this summer.
here's the thing, Steve. The people that are going to go down there and work as an internship are not going to. They're not your social influencers or any of that stuff. So that doesn't really matter, because the people that want to go down there is because they already have an inherent interest in doing this. Now, I'm not trying to cut you off, but we do have a guest,
No,
and
go.
we're
Yeah,
supposed
I was
we're
waiting
supposed.
on him.
Well, you haven't given us an opportunity.
You got
You've been on a rant for the last 45 minutes, which is
my
fine.
bad.
But the thing is, we do have a guest, and Dr. Anthony has things to do too. So, um, you know, let's get back to what we were talking about, the research center, and so the work that we're doing down there, uh, because that's the reason why we brought him up. Okay. No, so
Well,
getting
wait.
back.
Look, I mean, what you want me to do?
No, it's
I'm
okay.
good.
All right.
I'm a veteran. Like this is, yeah, we good. Doc, what you got?
I got
No.
nothing.
No, well, okay. Since Steve brought this up about the internships and stuff like that, are you guys having a hard time filling those internship slots? Is it because of lack of information, or you guys are well equipped with that and have the people you guys need down there every year after year?
We have maybe 2, 3 interns. Most of them have been my students.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though, it's difficult for people to number one, take the time, and for college students, their summers are spent trying to earn money.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing about our interns is they have to pay their way to Peru, which right now is not very cheap. It's maybe really the cheapest ticket you can get these days is maybe 800 to 1200. And so to come up with that initial money, sometimes it's difficult for students. Once they get there, everything's paid for, but that initial investment can be pretty high for college students.
Now, is this advertised?
Doc?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Steve.
How much ballpark? Just for a general figure.
For the flight?
Yes, sir.
800 to 1200, something like that. It could be up to 1500. It really depends on when you fly. So it's hard to say.
Okay. Now, is this open to other universities? I mean, do they advertise in other schools that you guys have these internships?
It's open to anybody. Yeah, I've sent out notices to schools that have aquarium science programs. I've talked to, we have one here locally in Orange County, Orange Coast Community College. They actually have an aquarium science program. And so, yeah, I've talked to many students, many places. But again, it's difficult for students at times to come up with that money. And so it's not that, we have a lack of interns. There's a lack of opportunities for kids to go. We wish we could afford to, fly students out, but we just don't have that kind of money in our account for that.
I can see Steve's little turning about doing a scholarship.
It's about to change. It's going to change.
Yeah.
It will.
Because I know Steve and I have talked about this
that.
in the past, and I know one of this biggest things is trying to find kids that don't get granted those opportunities because of socioeconomics. Really, that's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
And this understanding this kind of gives Steve and I an objective to try to help and find a good candidate student that would benefit from an opportunity like that.
The universe again.
Yep.
Here we go. This is live too.
Yeah. So if you find a good candidate within the community, because I know Steve has been reaching out to some of the schools in this area, and it's kind of what we were trying to get to do with Drew, Mr. Clark, but guess now that he's no longer in charge of that program, that kind of went by the wayside. But there still could potentially be some students that might be eligible if we could come up with some sort of a scholarship foundation to pay for the trip.
Yeah, the only
keep going. They getting out there. They're going to play in the mud.
Thing is they have to be 18 or over.
That's fine.
Or if they're not, then they have to be
accompanied
in by an adult.
Yeah. No, but the idea would be to get a college student that's already 18 years old that is pursuing a career in a science. At the bare minimum, it's got to be a science field.
Yeah, you're not going to find that many fish students out there.
Yeah.
You're just not. They're I have a few at my university, but
that part.
They're just not that many.
It's true.
Well, Dr. Anthony, is there anything else that you'd like us to know about the research center? Because I know it's already been 2 hours since we've been on, and I don't know if you got other stuff to do today, but I'd hate to take up most of your day just hanging out with us.
It's this is something that I believe in wholeheartedly. My wife does too, or she wouldn't have agreed for us to do this. And that's one of the nice things about my wife. She said once she retired, she would put her whole effort into this, and she now retired, and she's been putting her whole effort into the research center. It's something we believe in, something, like I said in chat, it's really our passion these days. and it's, I don't necessarily need people to be enthusiastically passionate like we are, but that's just who we are. And we're willing to put as much money as it took to get this thing started. And, we, we've been supporting it 90%. It's difficult to we've written grants. It's, grants aren't very easily gotten these days. And we understand that, people's economics these days, it's getting more and more difficult for most people to support nonprofits, and so we understand that. We just we've been very fortunate in our lives that we've been able to do something. It's something that I never set out to do this. It just happened upon us. And if I had to do it over again, I would do the same thing all over again, because it's something we believe in.
Yeah, well, I know once Steve breaks out the notepad, I know there's thoughts and thinking.
You already, I'm about to be on the phone and sending some emails off. But the whole what if, the why. Science is sciencing right now in here. Solutions
I think after my commitment to that, the next one will be to work with Steve to try to come up with funds to be able to send a student, a student worthy of going out there that doesn't have the opportunities. Huh?
Yeah. How many you need?
1 to 20. No, it's just 20. We have 3 dorm rooms available that are normally double, triple occupancy. So, we just, it's not like we can support 20.
University again.
Because we just don't have the rooms there for them right now.
So, but right now it's set up for how many? Full capacity would be how many people?
Full capacity, if we set the dorms up to be triple occupancy, we could have up to 9 students.
Okay.
It just
depends. That's 9.
Yeah, 9. We right now there's 2 beds in each dorm room, and these are fairly large sized dorm rooms. 3 beds fit in comfortably, but that's stuffing people in too.
Yeah. So you have 2 per room, 3 rooms, 6 people right now is what you normally run.
Yeah.
Okay. So 6 people, that might be something that's a little bit more manageable for Steve and I, if we were to take on as a sole venture to try to.
I'm already mathing. I even got a calculator.
So we'll see. But I still think, and I got to figure out how to do this, that I think a little bit more involvement from some of the local fish clubs and some of these events could help us, help you guys, go be able to receive some funding, even if it's once a year or whatever it is. But at least it's, like you said, it's money you didn't have before.
Yep.
So, and every little bit helps. So, but other than that, do you have anything for Dr. Anthony, Steve?
No, that's $18,000 if I donate $1,500 a month for a year from the store.
Oh, then we got to get your store going.
Yeah, I was planting some plants. No. This is awesome.
I think you and I could come up with some creative ways to at least raise funds. To at least raise funds for at least a student at the bare minimum. If we can do more than a student, that'd be great. But I think granting that opportunity to at least to one person, I think, because those experiences are life changing. You, I, and Dr. Anthony, who have been able to travel abroad, you living somewhere else and experiencing some other culture really does change a lot of your perspective, and kind of widens your horizon. It makes you think a little bit globally versus just being, homeside and not really experiencing any other cultures other than what's here.
You spilling all the stuff, like. That's it. That's my motivation, y'all, for doing this. What Jorge just said. Taking people who wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity to do so and
Yeah.
putting them on a plane so them babies can have a chance to open their eyes and see what beauty is and see that they can do anything. Get your ass out of there and go see nature. Go see what you are and get out. You don't have to be in that. You don't have to stay in this situation. Go. Get on a plane and go open your eyes. Go see that you have value. And that's why I'm gonna do it. That's why I am doing it. Look at the universe. I was rewarded for not being pissed off and quit. You know exactly what I'm talking about too.
Yeah.
You know exactly.
Well, Dr. Anthony,
Wow.
I want to thank you so much for being here with us today and taking some time out of your busy schedule. Again, like last time, invitation for you to be with us anytime you have anything that you want to put out there. Just let us know, and we'll be more than happy to oblige. Even if we have to stream on a off day that we don't normally stream, we'll do that.
Well, you're trying to say
Yep.
I'm an off person? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
you've always been a little off. You're
Yeah,
from the valley.
I agree. I agree.
You're from the valley. Everybody
why
from
be
the valley is a
normal?
little off.
Why be normal? That's the way I've
Yeah.
looked at it.
When you decide to live in the middle of the desert, when there's
Yeah.
other parts of this country that are beautiful,
I-
you got to be a
I
little
can't
off.
believe Californians argue about California.
Oh yeah.
I
Yep.
thought that was just a Texas thing.
Nope.
Wow.
Well, I want to thank everybody. Hey, question, I guess. This was unintentional to go this early, but is this a better time? Because we've had more people viewing this episode than we've had in the previous past. I don't know if it's a timing issue or something, but if it's something that you guys want us to look at, leave us a comment and maybe we can change a little bit of our scheduling. The only reason we didn't start at this time is because Ben Oldchart goes at 10 o'clock. But the reality is, I've been on his stream, and the people that watch him don't really watch us, and the people that watch us don't necessarily watch him. So I guess it wouldn't be too much of a conflict. So, but with that being said, I want to thank everybody
both. They just can't watch both at the same time.
Yeah, you can open up the tabs, but it was just one of those things where
we ain't trying to hurt nobody. That's what he's trying to say.
No, this just a time slot was available,
and
it was early enough for me to be able to hop on before I have to go to work. The only thing is, I never expected our streams to go as long as they did, so usually I'm hopping off and having to run to work.
Right.
And this one right now still allows me to, stop by the store, get something to eat, and then go to work. So, but with that,
store to get something to eat, like a 7-Eleven?
No. I have some chicken breasts that I have cooked here, but I'm gonna go pick up one of those salad bags at the local grocery stores, and then have me a meal.
Really, bro?
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Well,
you gonna stop? See, you thinking that you finna do what men do, like what you put, what you finna get a burrito?
I'm not 20. I'm not 20 years old anymore. That was
George. But
at this age, I gotta watch what I eat. So
salad.
Yeah, salad. And,
at least you don't get the head of lettuce because it has to be intact, and bring some kitchen shears and cut it at work. I'm gonna watch. You gonna do it?
I grill at work.
Now that's probably cheaper.
No, I grill at work. We have a grill outside the office, and we grill there all the time. And we have a refrigerator, sink. We have dishes, so we could. It's kind of like living at a firehouse, kind of that setup. The only thing we don't have is the actual full kitchen range, but I use the grill all the time as a stove.
But yeah, now see, if you was having a steak and a baked potato, you need that salad. That's right on time.
Yeah.
I'm lazy.
Well, I'm not going to talk about food anymore because I know people are going to get hungry, and I'm getting hungrier.
Right. That's why I'm going to jump off here, man. Damn,
I'm
going to do that.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody that joined us today, and I want to thank Dr. Anthony for being here with us. And was it next week we have? Is it Coro or Lily?
Coro, ain't you
Corey,
coming on?
Not Coro. Corey Aqua.
Corey Aqua.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's coming up.
Yeah,
hopefully,
that's what I'm saying.
He'll give us a tour of all this stuff.
Yeah, so we got
Already.
Glory Aqua, and then I think to close out the year, we have Lily from Lily Egg Theology that'll be here with us too. So, like I said, I just want to say thank you so much for you guys that have been supporting us since we started, and the support continues to grow because I continue to see new names in the chat, and you know, it's just I'm glad you guys like what we're doing. Well, with that said, thank you, and you guys have a great day.
Aqua Nation Expo is next weekend. If you're in the